It took me nearly 10 years to reach my first 1 crore. So while I cannot really tell you what exactly would be the number that I have, more important than that is the journey, the process, and how you can apply it in your life to move to that magic number. 1 crore is what we are trying to build the roadmap. And I'll be very realistic here, not a very typical fancy story. So let's say we start with the base case assumption that you have a time horizon of 10 years in which you want to get that 1 crore. Initially, you have no inherited money. And the thing is that you either invest directly into equity if you really understand stock selection well, or you put your money into mutual funds. So let's say you are a typical middle class, very busy in the job, cannot really dissect a good stock from a bad. Mutual funds will be your thing. So mutual funds again, this will be a mix of index, large cap, multi cap, small cap and mid cap, and you can expect, let's say, a 12% return on that. Then 25% you still should put in debt funds because that becomes a very good security buffer. And then gold or alternatives will be 25%. So that can be even a multi-asset fund, which will be a mix of gold, copper, equities. So they keep changing their priorities depending on good fund you can choose. So let's say now, therefore, my weighted average return based on this will be, so it becomes, let's say, 10%. Very, very conservative. Now, this really is attainable. And you start with a monthly SIP of 30,000. As I told, 30,000 is also a very difficult number to achieve given the lifestyle choices that we have to make today. Living in costly cities like Bangalore or Bombay or Hyderabad, where rentals also take up a good quantum of our cash in hand. So what happens is that you end up, let's say, so in this financial model, you are saving 30,000 per month, which earns 10% per annum, and your target wealth is 1 crore. So you start with an opening balance of 0. And so the way I have modeled it is that your yearly investment will be that monthly SIP into 12. And the formula for the interest earned will be the opening balance into 10% plus yearly investment into 10% by 2, because you're starting to save in, let's say, April, and that goes up to March. This can have some variations in real life because you will have spikes of savings once you get those variable pays. So maybe you will put a lot of money in April or in July. So that adjustment you'll have to do. So the closing balance will be opening balance plus yearly investment plus the interest earned. So it's a very simple formula: opening balance plus yearly investment plus interest. And as you can see, with 30,000 per annum, after 10 years, you only land up with 60 lakhs. So what do we do? There are two choices. The thing is that if you can actually save 50,000 per month, this will go up to 1 crore, the target number. Now you can say that, sir, this 30,000 is actually a more realistic number for me. So, okay, you will save 30,000 per month only. But what you can do is that you can increase your time horizon to, let's say we see that where in that next 10-20 years you become a Crorepati. So we'll increase this horizon to 20 years, and you can see that after year 14 typically you will get your 1 crore. Again, one other thing is that there are other asset classes like real estate which we have not considered, plus your ability to do a monthly SIP will also increase with every passing year because you'll get those salary hikes. But here the constant that you assumed is that, okay, you'll invest 30,000 at least per month over the next 20 years. So there then it is very easy for you to become a Crorepati by the 14th year. And let's say this weighted average return that we have, so if you, let's say, restore it to 10%, and you see that the first crore happens in year 14 and the next crore happens in year 19 itself. So it takes you 14 years to move to the first crore and just another 5 years to move to the next crore, because compounding works for you. So that's one magic, that because you're doing an active income plus that 1 crore that you have accumulated is also working for you, earning a healthy 10% per annum. So as you will see that the subsequent 1 crore can take even a lower time. From there to 3 crores is just year 23. Prior to achieving this milestone, there were 3 occasions where my savings became 0. So I again had to restart. So the first one was where I took care of the family finances and repaid a lot of debts that had accumulated over a period of time. Second was due to marriage, where because of the traditions of our society, one tends to splurge beyond the means. And the third was when I made a very bold decision to go for an MBA at IIM Ahmedabad, and I ended up spending my entire savings. So by 2014, I was literally at 0. In fact, at that one time, my net worth would have been negative after I would have accounted for 21.5 lakh rupees that was paid to IIM Ahmedabad, and that with the interest accrued for 1 year while I was studying put me in a negative. So literally my financial journey started in 2015 with a negative of 24 lakhs. So my first job was in this FMCG company, which was the dream job for CA freshers in 2008, where I would get 10,61,000 as my compensation plus 36,000 rupees as reimbursement. So it was a princely sum of money, 11 lakh rupees per annum in the year 2008. So I started at around 10.61 lakhs plus reimbursements, came down to some 6.5 lakhs when I came back to Calcutta, worked there for 2.5 years. From there, I moved to the Aditya Birla Group, got another 30% hike on that. 2011 July was when I changed from Tata Steel to Aditya Birla Group, and from there again I stayed there for literally 10 years with that 1 year MBA at IIM Ahmedabad in between. Got married almost 6 months into my Aditya Birla stint. When I joined Aditya Birla in 2011 and left it in December of 2020, my salary would have grown at a CAGR of a single digit, late single digits. And that is how the traditional manufacturing companies work, because they give you stability. Stability also comes at a cost, that you will not have a 50% CAGR that you would have got in a startup. Let's say if I would have joined a startup in that era, you could have really encashed and got a hockey stick kind of a growth. I stayed there for a very long period of time. In the COVID year in 2020 December, I shifted from there to a company called Balrampur Chini into sugar manufacturing and ethanol manufacturing. Stayed there for around 15 months and then said, okay, one good stint of my life, 14 years I have been in the job world. Now I want to experiment with the entrepreneur mode. Now, entrepreneurial mode in India sounds very sexy. It is also beggarpreneurship in a way, because you have to keep asking for work. And but yeah, it's been 4.5 years. So there are two ways by which you can become wealthy. A, by your active income, which is by the job that you're pursuing or your startup that you're pursuing. B is also by saving a lot of that money by being frugal. When you're frugal, it can mean choices on lifestyle which might be socially unpopular. Let's say not having a car. I still don't have a car. I have come using a metro for this shoot as well. But then that money that you save, even if it is invested in a 6.5% or 8% kind of a fixed income security, it tends to multiply and compound. So to become wealthy, you'll have to A, focus on your active stream of income, whether your or that of the couple as a whole, and also try to see that can you really in the short term risk being unpopular, because today FOMO makes us spend far more than our means, ending up with very little savings. I know a lot of people who might be 5, 7 years, 10 years into the job, into active careers, but might not have even 50 lakh rupees of savings tangibly, but they have a car, they live on EMIs, they have iPhones. At some point of time, you need to stop and reflect on what are your real priorities, because there is also this concept of you live only once, which means that the youngster of today says that there is this one life, it needs active partying, it needs a lot of foreign holidays, it needs iPhone, it needs 25 lakh rupees car. Savings, theek hai, ho jayega, whole life is left. Yeah, so those are two classic conundrums in which one would have to live with. Fundamental principles to achieve 1 crore will be, as I keep saying, one, please compromise on your lifestyle till you really achieve 1 crore, because if you live beyond your means, you will never achieve 1 crore. You will always have a life of scarcity. You will be dining in the best of restaurants, posting the best of foreign holiday pics on Instagram, driving the best of cars. But then if you sit back and reflect on, what if this job goes away, you will feel scared. So when I say that pillow test, that you should be very comfortable in your own skin when you sleep, that test you will fail. So from that perspective, one fundamental rule of thumb is, even if it comes at the cost of being socially unpopular, try to be a bit frugal. Second, try to make a good mix between debt and equity. So let's say you have a PPF, max it out. If you have a daughter, go for Sukanya Samriddhi. Again, these are unpopular things, but these kind of instruments come with lock-in of 15 years. So once that happens, you can't touch that money. And even if it compounds at 7.5%, 8% per annum, it works. And then try to take risky bets in your 20s into mutual funds, small caps, mid caps, especially international funds. You can just look at the kind of numbers that are there, and now you have these SIS which go for these long short strategies. So where in a single pan across different themes you have to invest 10 lakhs. So do that. Try to get hold of some upcoming property which can be very popular in that city, and try to invest, because you have to give 20%, 30% upfront, for which also you get a home loan and something. And try to see that once a metro comes near that residential property, a Jain mandir comes near that residential property, so all the Jains will flock to that property. The prices can really grow. Try to invest in commercial real estate. There are these REITs that are there, Knowledge Realty Trust, Embassy, Integrate, InVITs. They give good dividend yields, 10, 12% per annum as well. Again, they have liquidity issues. The instrument must be studied in greater depth. But what I'm trying to tell you is that, every money that you save and reinvest well. When I say that, one fundamental cardinal principle, you have to be very active also with the float that you're leaving in the bank. So if you are leaving money in an HDFC bank or SBI at 2.5% per annum in savings, just because you're too busy. You could make a choice that I will leave only 10,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees in that savings bank, and I will move to a high paying savings bank account where they pay 6% per annum. If I get further surplus, I will put it in a short term duration bond so that I max out on the yield that I get from my passive money. So if you feel that 1 crore will happen automatically, you might want to think again about it, because it's a function of what you earn minus what you spend into the investment return that the residual money gets. So at each point, how much you earn, how much you spend, and how you invest that money, those are three very critical variables which don't happen automatically. Like gravity will always pull you down. So you have to actively manage your life and move towards that 1 crore goal. And also marry a good talented spouse so that the double income benefit works to your advantage. So you can just put that in an Excel sheet also and say that, okay, hey, I want to reach 1 crore, and you can give that prompt to Claude that this is my annual salary, this is my monthly expenses. I also get bonuses of this quantum, ESOP possibility of getting a liquidity event on ESOP, some jackpot earnings from the stock market, some jackpot earnings from real estate. Real estate influencers will say is a liquid asset class, but I have seen n number of cases where people have actually made money by investing in good project, in cashing early on. Because once you reach 1 crore, then in a way, your confidence in yourself, in your abilities also increases. And that also, that self-confidence, that ability to take risks is also something that is very material. So I'll be very candid here. At the initial stage of my career, when I had come back to Calcutta, I was gripped with a lot of FOMO because my other batchmates continued in ITC. I had been reduced to 50-60%. And at that point of time, at the age of 24-25, you tend to measure your net worth, your self-worth, everything by that one number. How much are you earning? So I used to do a lot of freelancing, even teaching on Sundays. So I think for a decade, I didn't have any proper Sunday. I used to chase money at all costs. But yes, as time progressed, you have other parameters like thyroid and hemoglobin. So TSH, T3, T4, and then your hemoglobin, those kind of numbers also become material. Your kids grow up, you tend to see that, these kids of Gen Alpha are not like our generation wise. They don't value money so much as they would value quality time spent by the parent with them. So I had a very major conflict in terms of, should I spend time with the kids? Should I chase growth at some point of time and try to balance both? Yeah, so priorities also keep evolving because you are also a human. At different points of time, your priorities will change in conjunction with the support system that you have, what they want. So sometimes they are like, bas karo yaar, ho gaya. Let's pause for a life and try to see why we are running and chasing those monetary goals.